Welcome back. At just 30 years old, Luke Russert was an Emmy-winning political correspondent reporting on Congress for NBC News and following in the footsteps of his iconic and legendary father, Tim Russert, who passed away in 2008. But Luke says that career path left him feeling unfulfilled with no idea what his purpose was. So he quit his job, he packed his bags, he said goodbye to the life he knew for a journey around the world, searching for the life he wanted. Take a look. When Luke Russert packed his truck, his dog, and hit the road in 2018, he says he finally felt a little bit free. It was the start of what became a 3-year-long solo trip that led him backpacking to 67 countries across 6 continents. From the glaciers of Patagonia and Moai of Easter Island to visiting monks in mountains of Nepal. Thousands of miles away from home, Luke says he finally began grieving the man he looked up to the most, his dad, Tim Russert. And he also started discovering the kind of man he wanted to be. And now in his new memoir, Look for Me There, Grieving My Father, Finding Myself, Luke shares his journey of discovery and how exploring his heart, hard truths, and the unknown helped him choose a life he's proud of, one he knows his dad is proud of too. Fam, please welcome Luke Russert to the show.
So great to see you.
Good to see you. You are the best. You were the best. Oh my God. So I'm not going to burst into tears before we even start talking. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
On this book.
You're very kind. Very, very kind.
I started at NBC. The first person I saw in the hall was your dad, Tim Russert. He said, "Go get him, kid." I felt so validated. I felt so seen. I felt like I had marching orders from the greatest. I cannot imagine what it felt like for you to live with him every day and then lose him in this breaking news way. You gave the eulogy, and soon after people started coming, wanting to interview, wanting to offer you jobs, you wrote in your book, I tried to do what I thought he wanted, to live up to that legacy, to continue his work. I tried to reconstruct a world of meaning after his loss.
June 12th, 2008. I'm 3 weeks out of college. I'm a happy-go-lucky kid, free spirit. Don't necessarily know exactly what I want to do with my life, but maybe go to grad school or take a gap year or whatnot. June 13th, he passes away. A few days later, I'm giving a eulogy. Looking out into the audience, I see Barack Obama, John McCain, Ethel Kennedy, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, all these bigwigs. And I look back at 22-year-old Luke, and I look at that kid you have in the monitor there, and he was so strong and trying so hard. But by trying so hard and trying to live up to legacy and keep his father's flame alive, he never really was able to internalize and process that grief. And it was a weight for quite a long time.
So people don't know, we got to know each other. We would see
And
each
you
other
were the best, Tamron.
We
A lot of people know how great you were to work with. That's not just hyperbole.
No.
Tamron's one of the real ones.
No.
One of the real ones.
We would see each other, and we were kind of the troublemakers.
That's true.
And we would wink and nod at each other. I can tell you now on live TV, I feel like I saw it. I was waiting for you to make the decision to leave. Even though he'd gone on to great success, getting great stories, breaking news, I was like, he's not going to stay. But then you left, and I remember thinking, what happened?
I think it was a few things. One, you turned 30. I thought that was getting old back then. It's really not. But I did back then. And I think having my father gone at 58 was sort of, okay, the light at the end of the tunnel seems to be closer. And then there was this idea within me, which was, you know, is this really it? Is there something else out there aside from carrying this weight of legacy? I think that was there. And then also just internally, I was feeling anxiety. And I go, I have this incredible job. I have this position that people would give anything for, but I'm not fulfilled. Why is that? I got to figure that out. And it was very hard because I felt like I was letting people down. And I felt like, oh gosh, I'm making the wrong decision. I'm crazy. Why am I walking away from all this? But
who did you think you were letting down? Because I know your mom, who's obviously a brilliant
and she
journalist.
encouraged me to travel.
Yeah,
She said,
your mom
"Leave."
encouraged it. So who did you think you were letting down?
I think everybody who looked up to my father and who saw saw him within me. I thought that I was extinguishing that light a little bit, because one of the things that I did when he passed, I stayed at his wake for hours, 8, 10 hours, shaking everybody's hands, because I could see that I was helping them out a little bit. I never really knew how to help myself.
I have to tell you, reading your book reminded me of what Prince Harry talked about with his mother's death and having to comfort everyone else. But here he was a kid who'd lost his mom.
Yeah. You feel that sense of responsibility. And one of the things I write about in the book is, I think we all face this in our own lives to some degree, is you have that duty that you feel that you have to uphold to, either from your parents or your friends and your family. And then you have that desire. And what is that desire that you yourself have, that you yourself want? And I never really listened to that part of my own voice in my own head, because I was so consumed with duty and trying to make it. And it was harmful.
So your mom encouraged you to travel. You're
It was a mother's intuition.
Yeah, that's
she
what I
saw
was gonna
that,
say.
and
She
she was a
saw
Peace
it.
Corps volunteer in Colombia, in the Nixie city.
Yeah.
We love my mom. And she said, when I was a young girl and I graduated from college, there weren't a lot of opportunities available for women to get out into the world. You could be a nurse or a teacher, and I wanted to go see what I was made of, so I went to Colombia in the early 1960s, and she built schools down there. And to this day, she still goes back there for an educational empowerment foundation she started. And she said, it was that experience where I was able to measure myself up against the world, away from the comforts of home, that taught me, okay, Maureen, this is who I really am. And I carry those lessons through all aspects of life, professionally, personally, etc. I never had that experience, and she told me to do it, and it was so rewarding, and and our relationship actually greatly improved after it. It was always decent. But I was a good cop. So I would say my dad was more of the good cop. My mom was more of the bad cop, disciplinarian, which we all grow up with. But I had never understood my mother as a real human being prior to that, and it was not until my 30s that I actually traveled with her one-on-one. I had gone to so many sports games with Dad. That was the first time we did it, and it was so rewarding.
I love that you said that,
great.
because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to not seeing our moms as humans, right?
Right.
Because they are kind of shepherding us along, and now you finally see and understand her story, because obviously she's a legend in her own right. She's your mom, but you understand the woman.
That's
woman,
right.
And you got a chance to see. You originally planned to travel for 6 to 9 months, but then you extended it for far longer. Why did you need that extension?
I came to realize as I was traveling and learning things that I was not anywhere closer to having all the answers after just 6 months and even into a year. And I sort of realized that every culture I was going to in Africa and Asia and all around Europe and Latin America, I was picking up little bits and pieces of, oh, I should have thought about that before, or maybe this is a good way to look at life. And there is a very deep spiritual side to my journey too. I was around so many different faiths, and I got to learn a lot about what we're all trying to figure out, which is a place of peace. And it took a little bit of time to get there.
So in a moment of disruption in my life, when I had lost what I thought was my dream job in 2017, I was trying to find a moment of peace. I just told everybody that I'd learned that I wasn't going back to the Today Show. Twitter, I was on sometimes, but I'd never received a DM from anybody. I get a lot of them now. Back then I didn't. And so I saw this little thing on my phone. It said a message. And I go on, and there's a DM. It's dated February 2nd, 2017. I have it here. It's from you. I've never shared this before. It said, Tamron, I just want to reach out to you to say how much respect I have for what you did. You took a righteous stand and proved to the world a character so many of us already knew firsthand. You've done everything asked of you over 10 years with wonderful grace, politics, breaking fluff, sports, profile, drama, etc. Total team player. You went on to say, God bless Luke.
And
I never got a chance to thank you. I never got a chance to thank you for that.
I need to thank you for something too, because there's something a lot of folks don't know. When my father passed away, obviously they wanted to put it on the news. But you have to inform the family first. And Tamron was the one anchoring MSNBC, and she knew the news, but was able to hold it together for a long period of time. And it never leaked. We were able to alert my family first, because of how well you kept that in, and that was not easy. So God love you for doing that.
God love you.
Thank you.
Well, I am so proud of you. This book, first of all I can think of now is who gets to play you in the movie. I don't know anybody handsome enough to play Luke Russert. We have to see. Harry Styles, are you available for Well, I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful, and thank you for everything.
Well, thank you, Tamron. It's been such an honor to be here.
It's honor.
Love you guys.
The book, look for me there. Grieving My Father, Finding Myself is out now, and you're all getting a copy of Luke.